House of the Dead 2 is a 2006 made-for-TV movie sequel to the 2003 film House of the Dead. Where the prior film had Uwe Boll and Michael Hurst directing, the sequel only has Hurst returning to direct. 3 writers worked on this film, those writers being Peter Shearer, Michael Roesch, Mark A. Altman. Only Altman worked on the first film. Well, with much of the original minds cut off for this sequel, will they do better or somehow worse? Well, for starters, we actually are following AMS agents. Similar to the games, it's a duo, and they're sent to find a patient zero. Shambling in their way is an army of undead college students and staff who have been zombified by the sinister and much more bald Dr. Curian. And since Hurst seemingly was the one of the 2 directors to actually care about the first film, I do actually have hopes this will be at least okay. So the film starts off with a bunch of college kids heading off to a party. Oh god, it's happening again.
You've tried the rest. Now try the best.
Oh, gross!
Wait. This time they're leading a raid on a sorority house, and ironically are being douches, well, spraying liquid.
Lager or light?
Light.
Well, then don't stop. Fill me up, soldier.
Thankfully, this doesn't last for long, as we follow Tracy, played by Paige Peterson. Don't get too attached, though, because after being humiliated, this happens.
I'll be okay, thanks.
Too bad.
Good old Sid Haig out there culling the youth. Or at least he was. Yes, this is Dr. Curian, played by veteran actor Sid Haig. He takes Tracy back to his lab and whoa! Okay, that's more nudity than I'm willing to risk with the terms of service. Yeah, one carryover of the first film is the amount of smut, and while it's not the worst thing to have in your zombie flick, I definitely don't remember this much smut outside of House of the Dead Overkill, which wouldn't be released until 2009. Back to the film, time is money, and Sid is probably the most pricey casting choice, so after what I believe to be poor ADR, we get this nod to another game property that had been touched by Uwe Boll a year prior.
And you hold on to them, keeping me alone. Alone in the dark.
Oh, and Sid Haig goes the way of the dodo. And from there we get another intro, which, unlike the first film, is not some overly filtered gameplay footage, but a music montage of the outbreak happening. It's a better choice, even if it feels rather cheap. We then jump forward with what I believe is another reference to see another repeat star, Emmanuel Vaguier, who you may recognize from my first film review, Pro-Life. I do need to finish that Masters of Horror series. Vaguier is playing Nightingale and is on a date with a not-so-honest man.
If I bag her tonight, I'll call you in the AM. I told her I'm a fucking neurologist. She bought it hook, line, and sinker.
Meanwhile, outside, trouble is brewing as his chef, played by Mark Gottwald, is having lunch right where Sid Haig is taking a night stroll. I believe this is just what Sid does while the full moon is out.
You want a filet mignon? You get a job.
Good thing Nightingale is present, but ooh, just a touch too late.
What was that thing?
Well, that's a zombified jock. Now as for his head, that's just what happens when you mishandle a blood pack. Those things do hurt. Just ask Sonny. Hey, don't tie him down before he turns. That's a zombie movement coach. He needs to move. This does introduce us to our second AMS operative, Ellis, played by Ed Quinn, who in 2015 would appear in Navy SEALs vs. Zombies. I'm not looking forward to reviewing that film. Inside the ambulance, we learn that Ellis's brother had recently become infected, and he had to put him down. Oh, and they finally kill Coach. Oddly, more Left 4 Dead sounding references than I expected to make. Vaguier does kind of look like Zoe.
You know, I always kind of thought she had a thing for him.
Like hell I did.
Now at HQ, we see that Casper survived. Yeah, this lady, who is most definitely dead. Well, she's alive now, and in a high-ranking position at AMS. I'd figured most secret government agencies would just make you sign an NDA or erase your memory Men in Black style. Here, you not only get a job, but a promotion. The mission is to go into a college campus, secure a blood sample of patient 0, and escape before a missile strikes at dawn. Going on this mission is our 2 AMS operatives and special forces led by Sergeant Major Dalton, played by Sticky Fingers, real name Kirk Jones. This is odd considering that at the end of House of the Dead we clearly saw that AMS has access to soldiers outside of their normal operatives. It's even stranger when we learn that, oh yeah, none of these guys have encountered the undead.
What, are you kidding me? My team's been to hell and back. Bosnia, Afghanistan, Iraq. You name it, we've been there.
So when a 6-year-old girl dressed in what's left of her Sunday finest comes at him ready to take a bite out of him like they're a quarter pounder, you're telling me they're not going to hesitate? They're going to pull the trigger and do what needs to be done?
Like I said, been there, done that.
Which leads to our first official encounter with the undead. Apparently the zombies here don't require headshots and also stay down when heavily wounded. Oh, and they come with some rather large teeth.
You ever seen teeth like that on one of them?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. Could be they're mutating.
That's not good, is it, Nightingale?
Well, they fared well there, so surely another zombie won't be any trouble. Why do movie people think guns are useless? This idiotic decision leads to the obvious and arguably one of the more memorable scenes of the entire film.
Stand down, soldier!
Stay still, hey!
Sorry, no choice, soldier.
12 seconds later.
No.
Sorry, Doc.
Down 2, they press onto the campus and decide to split up. We get a lot of filler and idiotic moments that make you realize this is a film you should either be drunk or with friends while watching.
We got a survivor.
You don't know that. Could be one of them.
Hey, zombies don't read, and they ain't hooked on phonics.
We get more references with what I think was meant to be a nod to Ghostbusters.
Sorry about the noise.
And even what passes for a joke.
John can't come to the phone right now. He's dead. Can you hear me now?
I should take a moment to name off Bart, played by James Park, as he'll become important later. For now, just know he's the asshole of the group.
Right? But she's not too bad now, either. I'd stick my dick in her, but I'm afraid of what would happen.
I mean, give him credit. He leaves an impression. And he's not the only one filling that trope, as Dalton gives his own attempt at it.
If I did have to eat anyone, definitely pick you, kiddo.
Don't worry. If you die, I'll be sure to shoot you in the head before you get to.
It's too bad. A tight ass like you probably enjoy being eaten by me.
Yes, if you haven't realized, these aren't the most professional soldiers. Really makes you wonder why the writers decided to not use AMS soldiers and not be so cringe. An interesting idea does manage to come up as Dalton is bitten by a mosquito, and that trio begins to question if the virus used enough DNA points to gain that form of transmission. Another jump back and another Special Forces soldier down as he weirdly splits off from the group, goes down a flight of stairs, and literally does a repeat of the library, but without surviving. Oh, and Bart wants to ditch the team and secure Patient Zero's blood and make a profit off of selling it. This doesn't go too well and he's left for dead. That's 3 times now. Down in the basement, Dalton is bitten, and well, I'll let a better zombie movie actor say it.
Lucky if you hit that tree out there.
Yep, fast. Try your mat.
That's one nervous little bitch finger you got on your trigger there, teardrop.
We now hit another strange moment as no one bothers to shoot immediately as they instead pull an RE6 Leon. I could maybe make an argument there, but here, none of these people liked him. Well, time for Chekhov's gun.
Oh, God, they got the Sarge, man!
Fatty then gets taken out. Now this is going to sound weird, but the more people die, the better this film gets. I don't mean like how you look forward to kills in a slasher. Literally, the acting, action, music, and even the writing get better. We even got a nice nod to the light gun mechanics. Oh, and we learn that there is actually a reason for the teeth evolution.
So that's why they're evolving, to chew through our armor.
Running into a hallway, they're cut off, with undead in front and behind. I expect maybe a first-person sequence since this looks very much like something out of the games. Instead, the AMS operatives pull something similar to the Resident Evil film, of all things, while using the pipe to stay out of reach. However, this won't work long-term, so Nightingale uses lighter on the sprinklers, then shoots the power box to fry the undead. Cutting forward, we get a bonding scene where we learn of the reason for Nightingale's name, which surprisingly reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.
We set up a medevac, tended to the dead and dying as best we could. They were dead, but they were still walking. So I only had one choice. Grabbed a machine gun and I started firing.
But enough of that, it's time to meet up with the only two campus survivors, not Deeks from NCISLA and his girlfriend, both of whom fill in our AMS operatives and lead them to patient 0.
The professor was trying to bring back the dead.
The professor's son, Rudy, and his girlfriend came back here a few months ago, but she was different somehow. Changed.
She killed his son, but Kyrian kept her chained up here, convinced her blood held the key to eternal life.
So yeah, you remember Alicia from House of the Dead? Well, surprised she didn't survive, and even killed Rudy the boot. I mean, geez, Hurts, I get your script was trash during the first film, but if you felt so strongly about fucking over the characters, why the hell did you keep Casper alive? Oh, and that is not the original actress, as Alicia is now played by Danielle Bergio. Maybe the original actress didn't want to be interrogated by the director and writer. Well, time to get that bread, blood. Oh, and the zombies broke through, leading to one of the more brutal zombie attacks. Inside isn't safe either, as our AMS operatives are attacked by Alicia, who is surprisingly strong. Must be that uninfected back. However, Ellis remembers those words of wisdom for any horror situation. It's then a slow but tense march past the zombies as they enjoy their still-breathing meals. I wasn't lying when I said that the more people die, the better this film gets. The past 10 minutes have honestly been the best part of both films combined. Sadly, it quickly becomes hit or miss from here on out.
I'm almost out.
Me too. We did not come this far to fail now.
Drop dead.
Why is she not being bitten? Why is she not being grabbed? Why is she not being bitten? Why is he not being bitten? Why did his shotgun blast not cause any blood? Okay, full stop for a moment. What the fuck is up with the blood in this film? One scene, bullets cause a huge splatter. The next, nothing. One scene, there's tons of blood. The next, there isn't even signs of impact.
Sorry about the noise.
Film, if you want to be R-rated with all the tits and gore, go for it. But don't do this weird splicing of an unrated and a Germany-approved cut. It's annoyingly distracting. They manage to escape with the aid of the last 2 Spec Ops soldiers, but lose the vial in the process. So we basically repeat the past 10 or so minutes of them getting to the lab and retrieving another blood sample. This time we get to see football zombies, use college campus props.
It's like the gels we used to use to train attack dogs. I think I'm one of them.
Have a suicide, and now we hit the final moments. With no ammo left, the dynamic duo decided to go Operation Raccoon City and slice their way through. It isn't horrible, but RE6 still has the best zombie melee fight choreography. Nightingale is cut off and forced to take cover under what is basically my desk table, whilst Ellis books it out the front door. Just in time as a single, I repeat single, missile strikes the building. Battered and bruised, the last survivor Ellis drags himself back to the AMS van, finding a Spec Ops soldier with a headshot despite being unturned. A wild Bart suddenly appears, minus a hand, but now with extra unhingedness.
What's wrong with you, Lieutenant?
What's wrong with me? You know what it's like to cut off your own hand.
He goes on for a bit before being sneak attacked for 2 times damage by Nightingale. Damn, that IKEA furniture really is something. Oh, but Bark came with the martyrdom perk, and so that means no vehicle, no blood sample, and no progress made over the course of this film. Well, hey, at least the zombies were contained in this location and killed with one missile, so civilization must be okay, and oh no. Yeah, maybe it did spread through a mosquito. Or they just forgot to track down Sid Haig, who has spent the past hour of film off-screen binge-eating at the local major population center. So that was House of the Dead 2, and was it better than the first? Well, yes, but also no. Don't get me wrong, the first is a legitimate bad movie, but so is the second. However, both are enjoyable in different ways, just as they're both bad in different ways. The first is burdened by out-of-place editing, poor writing, bizarre cuts, actors, and general uwe-bollisms. The second, on the other hand, is filled with tired tropes that itself fail to even be handled properly. Most of the cast are not good actors, and the writing rarely helps. The one location is fine, but it's never really utilized, only being used for 2 gags. Not to mention that while it's a more coherently edited film, it still has moments that don't work or fit, such as the bloodless headshots, almost PG choreography that just looks stupid, and the fact that its lows distract from its highs. Uwe Boll's film at least remained memorable and distinct. Not through its entire runtime, but at least its moments were spread out all over the film. I remember Captain Kirk, his superstitious second mate, the boat shootout, the sword fight, and of course the music video graveyard shootout. Not saying it was all good, but it stuck with me. Meanwhile, this sequel has a solid part at the start and an entertaining middle segment, but the rest gets blown away with the wind. So on its own, the film is an okay at best, but leaning towards meh zombie film. You'd think, following people trained to kill zombies, it would avoid a lot of horror cliches, or perhaps handle them differently, but instead the film throws in special forces for some unoriginal scares. Surprisingly, both Vigir and Sid expressed their dislike of the first film, and even went as far as Vigir telling Sci-Fi Wire, quote, "We're trying to erase the first film from people's memories." House of the Dead 2 was filmed on a budget of an estimated $6 million, which absolutely surprised me. Again, Outpost had just under $300K. It was first shown off in Spain, 14th of October 2005, at the Sitges Film Festival, with its final release being in the Philippines, 9th of January 2016. The film was released universally as House of the Dead, with Germany taking the alternative title House of the Dead 2 Dead Aim. This title may have been a nod to the 2003 game Resident Evil Dead Aim. Another alternative US title was House of the Dead 2 All Guts, No Glory. Filming was done in California, with 2 colleges being used. One was Occidental College, and the other East Los Angeles College. In 2006, Hurst said there was work being done on a third entry, but that it was so far removed from the House of the Dead that it could barely be called House of the Dead 3. But nothing came of it. Well, there is that one film that I don't own. I guess I could just review Crack House of the Dead.
So, what do you really do for a living?
I kill zombies.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.